compliance statement read.
I, the undersigned clerk of the Board of Education of the Alva Independent School District Number 1 of Woods County, Oklahoma, certify that prior to December 15th of the last calendar year, the date, time, and place of this regular meeting was filed in the office of the County Clerk of Woods County, Oklahoma. I also certify that at least 24 hours prior to this meeting, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays, notice of the date, time, place, and agenda of this meeting was posted in prominent public view.
Consent agenda. All the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved by one board vote unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items. The consent agenda consists of the discussion, consideration, and approval of the following. 3.1, addition of items of new business to the agenda.
There are none.
Minutes of the October 5th, 2020 regular meeting. Approval of the finance report, approval of the activity fund report, approval of the activity fundraisers, approval of the activity fund inter-account transfers, and approval of the child nutrition funds. Finance report.
Okay. I don't think that there are any errors in our minutes from October 5th. I'll pull up the finance report here, and our October investments are all up to date, appear to be fine. Wanted to pull up our chargeables for this month and give you an opportunity to review those. You can see here that obviously when you look at our chargeables and there's a comparison done between this year and last year, there's a significant decrease in our gross production and our motor vehicle tax. But we are beginning to see a little bit of a rebound in gross production, although small. It is an improvement, but we are still behind in that area. Just might also mention that talk continues to be in concern over state aid at the midterm and what kind of allocation we'll receive, and then also as we move into FY22, concerns in that area. So say all that to tell you that we are in good shape as a district, and our administrators are doing a very good job of being mindful of those finances when they review purchase orders and streamlining the way that we do things, not only from a technology standpoint, but also an instructional standpoint. And so I appreciate their work each day when they get those purchase orders and they're reviewing them. When we look at an activity fund, before I move on, I want to go back and show you just our comparison in charts, and I think this maybe gives a little bit better idea. And I'm just having a terrible time with the computer. Okay, this kind of gives you a little bit better idea when you're able to compare month to month and on a year-to-date perspective. At the bottom, I've done it in a table situation, and you can see that when you compare FY21 and FY20, you can see that our revenue's down, but also in correlation with that, our expenses have decreased also. And that's a real credit to your principals and to what they've done, because they have to be mindful when they get those things, those purchase orders, they have to be mindful of that. So really appreciate their work and our teachers' work as we work towards being good stewards with that money. We look at the activity fund report, 3.4. There's been no real changes in our activity funds. Not many fundraisers. The biggest change will be in the FFA account. They have paid their blue and gold sausage bills, so that one, you're going to find that one be a little bit lower. 3.5, the activity fundraisers. There are no fundraisers this month. 3.6, there are no inter-account transfers. 3.7, our child nutrition count. Have made a graph there. Hopefully, maybe it pulls up. It may not. This just kind of gives us some information that we look at to compare month to month. I want to thank Mr. Smith. We kind of adjusted our high school schedule to allow for our high school students to have a grab-and-go lunch. It is almost triple the amount of students that are eating breakfast in between first and second hour which is a great thing for our kids. And I really appreciate him, his leadership, our teachers, for allowing to be flexible to allow that to happen. That has been a great thing for our kids and for our district. So child nutrition continues to be a real positive thing for us. Any questions on the consent agenda? If there are none, I would recommend its approval.
Move to approve consent agenda items 3.1 through 3.7.
Second.
McDermott,
Aye.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Item number 4, vote to approve purchase order encumbrances for the following funds for fiscal year '21. 4.1 general fund as referenced, 4.2 building fund as referenced, 4.3 child nutrition fund as referenced.
Okay, we'll go back up to 4.1 and begin with our general fund. I want to highlight a couple of the larger expenditures for this month. Purchase order number 261 for $2,400. That is a repair and sanitize the indoor turf. This has almost become a routine purchase order that we've done each year. Purchase order number 265, $8,000 behavior doctor seminar. That is going to be professional development that we will have this spring in January. It will be virtual, but this aligns with our strategic plan and the implementation of PBIS throughout the district. Purchase order number 266 for $3,250. Had a leak at the ag farm, a water line break, and that was to repair that concrete around the water line. Purchase orders number 268, 269, and 271. Those are some repairs to activity buses. Purchase order number 273 for $10,423. That is our lease agreement with Wells Fargo for our 14-passenger bus. This has continued to be a good thing for our students and our organizations to have that ability to take that passenger bus and not take one of the larger buses on one of their student activities.
Or two Suburbans.
Or two Suburbans, exactly, yes. Purchase order number 274 through 279. These are all special education items that have been purchased through federal programs. They're reimbursable. Purchase order number 280, $10,000 for OSSBA employment services. We've seen an increase in worker compensation claims over the last 2 years, and so this purchase order is to hopefully cover that increased cost. The personnel payroll out of the general fund are for substitutes. We'll move on to 4.2, our building fund. You'll see the large purchase order in our building fund, purchase order number 31, with Kyler Construction. That is for our art room innovation. Purchase order number 32, Luckenbill. This was a required inspection by our fire marshal for the middle school. And then purchase order number 33 is the payment to Triarch for their services. And we saw an increase of that when we approved our additional alternates. Then there became an increase to their services, and so that's why you see that addition. Purchase order moving on to the Child Nutrition Fund, 4.3. One major expenditure out of there to draw your attention to, purchase order number 13 for $1,200. That is with Fair Plumbing to cover repairs for ovens at Lincoln. Are there any questions from any of our funds, the general fund, building fund, or child nutrition fund?
I'd make a motion that we approve 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3 as presented.
Second.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes. Superintendent's report.
Okay, we don't have any resignations, retirements, or reassignment this month, so we move on to communication, 5.2. I wanted to, hopefully I'm able to run this and pull this up to show you, and it's not very big, and I'm not even gonna try to enlarge it, I'll mess it up. But, this is what the art room renovation is going to look like. And I think that when you look at that picture, and we've all been through that and been able to look at it, it's going to be a great space for our kids. And so, a lot of times we look at the money, but I think the end product is going to be worth it for our students and for that program. And so, it's going to be a great space. It's going to be a beautiful space for our kids, and I wanted to just share that with you that the architectural firm had shared with me. Also, just want to mention and give you an update on COVID and kind of how we're handling that in my communication. First of all, I want to again thank our administrators for the time and work they're spending on this. And there are so many people behind the scenes that have allowed us to be able to stay in school. And so when you talk about our secretaries at every site, our custodians, support staff, there are so many people that have allowed us to be in school the amount of days that we've been in. I think we're up to maybe 55, and I don't know that there's a lot of schools that can say that. And so, really want to thank our principals and secretaries. One of the things that we've had to take on is a lot of the contact tracing and a lot of the contacting of parents and families, and this is a real tough time to do that. And that's not something we signed up to do when we decided to go into education, is to make those phone calls and talk to people about a pandemic. And so really appreciate what they've done. And so you can see, and it may be difficult to see, we feel like that our numbers are obviously increasing, and we've seen a real large increase over the past 2 weeks. We are at about 8% for the total district with students in quarantine, and 0.4 with positive tests. And those numbers are still low, and again, we're fortunate to be where we're at, but we are seeing an increase. And as we head into many more indoor activities, our health department is concerned about how that's trending. And so, we just want to be mindful of the mitigation strategies that we put in place, wearing the face covering, social distancing, and encourage everyone to continue to do that. Our families have been great, staff has been wonderful, and again, our principals and secretaries are doing an outstanding job working our way through this every day. I want to mention our basketball plan. Really appreciate all of our administrators and our coaches for their input. Very difficult decision anytime you have to limit anything. It's certainly not easy, and I just can't thank them enough for their work on that. And we've been able to go back and visit with every student athlete and their family, and when we put the numbers to it, it averaged out to 5 tickets. And so we're going to be able to share some of those tickets and distribute those so that all of those families that wanted to come to a game are going to be able to do that. We're going to have a process to where if there are some tickets remaining, that people that would like to come would be able to do that. And we will put that out there, and they'll be able to contact the high school office and the middle school office to do that. But it's going to be very difficult if we're not all patient and flexible during this time, because it will be a trying time, and there's a lot of logistics involved. There's not a playbook on how to handle a pandemic in basketball season or vocal music programs this spring, and we want to have those for kids, and so we will work towards that. Do I have any questions?
No, but I would like to say thank you also to your administrators, because it's not easy. And I know that even with numbers going up, one thing that concerns me as an educator is I said we're having more testing in Alva. As one person gets positively tested, the contacts grow, so you think, well, maybe I need to go be tested. So I think that's where some of the positive tests are coming from. But I appreciate the hard work, because this is hard. It's hard. We've never had to do this before. So thank you very much, everybody. And tell your staff thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Items of current business. 6.1, discussion with possible board action, vote to reject base bid for bid package number 2, demolition from Midwest Wrecking and approved from Jackson's Wrecking and Demolition. Acceptance of alternate number 7 makes Jackson's Welding and Demolition the low bidder.
And the reason for this, visiting with Kyler Construction, visited with them about, we feel like that we kind of covered a lot of these things in our last month's board meeting, but it's very important that compliance with the Open Bid Act and that these are formally rejected and formally accepted. And so I would recommend that item 6.1 is approved.
I would make a motion that we accept 6.1.
Second.
McDermott,
Aye.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
6.2, discussion with possible board action, vote to reject base bid for bid package number 7B, roofing from Alva Roofing, and approved bid from Boyer and Sons. Acceptance of alternate number 2 makes Boyer and Sons the lower bid.
And again, this is the same process as our previous agenda item. By accepting the alternate, it changed the bidder. And so I would recommend this approval for item 6.2.
Move to approve 6.2.
Second.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes. 6.3, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve quotes from the Resource Door and Hardware and Holman Sales for bid packages 8A and 10D respectively.
If you'll remember from our original document that we received from Kyler, they did not receive any bids for these two specific item areas. And after they went back and were able to gather information, and then they went out and found the best possible bid for this. And this is what that is. So I would recommend approval of item 6.3.
Motion to accept 6.3.
Second.
McDermott,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
6.4, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the guaranteed maximum price amendment from Kyler Construction Incorporated.
So from our early purchase order, if you look at the attachment at the end, that gives us our guaranteed maximum price that we would pay. If you look at the very bottom of that original bid sheet, and it's $884,725.96, and that will be the total cost with those alternates that we have accepted and approved for our art room renovation. And so I would recommend that we accept this guaranteed maximum price from Kyler Construction.
Move to approve 6.4.
Second.
McDermott,
Aye.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kane.
Yes.
Discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the following board meeting dates for the calendar year 2021, January 11th, February 1st, March 1st, April 5th, May 3rd, June 7th, June 28th, July 12th, August 2nd, September 7th, October 4th, November 1st, and December the 6th.
It's hard to believe we're beginning to prepare for another school year, and these dates are all the first Monday of the month except for the January 11th, July 12th, and June 28th dates. We will continue to meet here at the high school to be able to practice social distancing, and so that is our plan moving forward for next year. I would recommend approval of these dates.
I would make that motion, we accept, and I would extend a thank you to the library here at the high school for allowing us to disrupt their library every once a month. So thank you for that, Mr. Smith and Mrs. Brock.
Second.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes. 6.6, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the Board of Education election resolution to call for a school election to vote for Board of Education member from office number 1.
This is our routine election for seat number 1, and I would recommend approval of this agenda item.
So moved.
Second.
McDermott,
Aye.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
6.7, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve closing the following precincts for the 2021 school board election. Precincts as referenced in Alva County, precincts as referenced in Woods County.
And I believe this is something the board has chosen to do the past few years. And just want to remind, part of the reason for this is the majority of these voters are voting by absentee ballot. And there are a few that are going to these polls, most of them, and that's what they're doing. It's $500 for an election to be able to do that. So this is the board's choosing to close these precincts. You have done this the past 2 years.
So moved.
Second.
McDermott,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Hanson.
Yes.
6.4. Sorry, wrong. 6.8, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the revised extra duty salary schedule.
So we have one addition to our extra duty salary schedule this month, and that's Alicia Galil. As you know, we have been searching for an academic team sponsor for the high school, and Ms. Galil has stepped up and chosen to do that for us, and that is the beginning base pay for her. And we really appreciate her willingness to do this because there are a lot of students that are involved in that group, and it's been a good program for our kids. So I would recommend approval of this revised extra duty salary schedule for FY21.
Move to approve 6.8.
Second.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
McDermott.
Aye. 6.9, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the AEA contract for the 2020-21 school year.
So there has been no change to the AEA contract. Really want to appreciate or give gratitude to our teachers. They've just been outstanding this year, and want to thank those representatives through this negotiation. They've been absolutely wonderful to work with, and I would recommend approval of the AEA contract for 2020-21.
So moved.
Second.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes. Item number 7, new business.
There is none.
Signing of the documents approved by earlier action. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
McDermott,
Aye.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.